All right. Hey, everybody, welcome to the Untitled Show, episode number 4 for February 3rd, 2016. I'm your host, Matthew Weber. This week, I'm joined by Mr. Vincent Hui.
Yep, what's up?
Ricky's off this week. I'm not exactly quite sure where he is. All he said he wasn't going to be here. Like, he owns the joint or something. I don't know. He's probably doing something like he's buying a house or something, right?
Yeah, it's probably flipping houses, with all that money he got from Apple.
He's going to end up on HGTV, have his own show. That is going to be the Food Network. No, that's me. All right. So this week we are going to be talking about. So usually we only do one movie a week, but I've decided to show my ambitious side. We did 3 this week, but they're all related, and the reason why I felt it was okay was because we've all seen them before. So we did the Dark Knight Trilogy, directed by Christopher Nolan. And I'm not going to go through and say what these movies are about. They're Batman movies. Say it again, Vince.
I was going to say something about Batman.
Yeah, they're Batman movies. I mean, it's not necessarily. None of them are necessarily that original in their plot. They didn't have new villains or anything. His first one was Ra's al Ghul. The second one was the Joker, and the third one was Bane. Right.
Right.
So, I mean, villains are there. What's interesting, so of the 3, I think the second one had the most accolades because, what's his name?
Ledger?
Yeah, he did such a good job on the Joker, right? Especially, who played the Joker in one of the previous films?
Jack Nicholson?
Yeah, okay, so it was such an improvement over that.
No. Jack Nicholson with Tim Burton's Batman won a lot of accolades as well. It's just that he didn't die.
Okay. Yeah, well, I don't know. Maybe it's just because. All right, so these are definitely my 3 favorite Batman movies. Maybe it's just because the 3 that I remember most previous to this were George Clooney's movies.
He did 3, did he? I thought he only did 2, and then Val Kilmer started doing a couple.
Did he do 2? So he did
Batman,
the one with Arnold Schwarzenegger, and he did the one with like Danny DeVito and
Michael Keaton. Michael Keaton was the second Batman movie. That was Batman with Michelle Pfeiffer.
All right, so which one? So was George Clooney the one with Halle Berry as Catwoman?
No, that was just Catwoman, dude.
No, she was. I'm thinking of Uma Thurman. She was Poison Ivy.
So that was with what's his name, Chris O'Donnell and Arnold Schwarzenegger.
So that was to freeze.
Yeah.
So bad. Who directed those movies?
Schumacher.
Yeah. So I was actually kind of hoping. So I'm all right. So obviously I don't know if you haven't seen them. Christopher, what's his name? Bale. What's his first name?
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale. Christian Bale stars as Batman. I despise him in almost everything else. I can't stand his acting. But he's good in this. He does a good Batman. Something I thought of is I saw the trailer for Batman versus Superman. Saw what's his name, Ben Affleck's version of Batman. Oh God, he's gonna be terrible. He just doesn't fit.
I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna give him a benefit because Kevin Smith, the big writer and kind of comic book aficionado. He actually is, though he is buddies with Ben Affleck. He hasn't talked to him in a while, and he actually commented recently. He's like, "Look, man, I got an insight," because the guy always gets an insider thing from Star Wars and Star Trek all the way to Superman. He basically said, "Look, man, I know that it might sound like bias, but Ben Affleck is going to be a kick-ass Batman." And based on I know we're not talking about that movie series yet because it's yet to happen, but in a nutshell, that Batman is far more vigilante. The question of whether or not he pushes the limits is there when he starts torturing people. I think it's going to be interesting to see a more gritty Batman, even beyond the Batman Begins, the Dark Knight trilogy that we were talking about today.
Right, because in the single, all right, so obviously I haven't read all the Batman comics, but in most of the Batman comics, he refuses to kill, right?
Right.
Right. So the only one that I've read that he kills is the one where he shoves his hand through the Joker. Which one is that? We read it for this.
Not him. That's Superman killed. No, that's
Is that Superman? All right, see, that's so damn many. I can't fucking remember it.
Why don't white people the same, Matt? Jeez.
I can't. Honest mistake. I was just, we just done so damn many fucking things. Going so long. All right. Anyways, back to what we were talking about. So, of the three, the second one's my favorite, just because the villain is done so well. But like all superhero villains, I mean, there's no real resolution at the end. You know, that's probably my biggest problem with the first two is there's not really any resolutions that, you know.
Wait, you think the third one had a real resolution?
No, not really. All right, so
is he alive or isn't he?
Well, he is because they show him, right? I mean, he's off cavorting with what's her name, Anne Hathaway. Not yeah.
Yeah. The question about that is whether or not that's actually, because remember, it's a Christopher Nolan discussion, okay? And Christopher Nolan tends to make these very open-ended interpretive movies, right? Everything from Inception to the one with all right. What's his name? The pothead guy, whatever. The Interstellar, right?
Okay.
so Nolan always makes movies that kind of have question marks at the end. So when this trilogy ends, effectively, you know, does Batman actually save it and also save himself? And then it's like, did he set the autopilot on before he, you know, went out and did this thing or not? I think that it's meant to leave a lot more questions than answers, right? I don't think it ends very satisfactory. I think the most satisfactory conclusion and story arc is actually the first one. And it's good because it talks about his conquering over fear and him becoming the ultimate hero, right? The second one with the Joker, the problem is that it ends, but it doesn't really end on a very good note. And quite frankly, I think that the reason why I got so much credit is because it had him die. It had the Joker die. The actor that played the Joker die, so people kind of pitied him. I think that the story was a little bit convoluted. Like, come on, the bad guy. It's the cliche now where the bad guy expected to get caught to then cause all this other bad stuff to happen. I mean, that's a criminal mastermind to ensure that to make sure that happens, right?
Yeah.
And the third one doesn't really end very strongly, as I said already, but it also had problems because I think you know, the whole issue of Bane, and I mean, it was such a forced thing. Like his back gets broken, but by some magical rope or whatever weird thing, he's able to cure like spina bifida and like, you know, broken back. So it does bring a whole bunch of questions about like which one's the best one. I think the first one was, and you know, I understand why they made the other two. I'm not sure if they really anticipated making a trilogy at the outset. I have my doubts about that because if you watch the last one, it's very difficult to imagine that they had that kind of vision. I know that they made the kind of connection back to Ra's al Ghul with the whole fear thing from the first movie and Talia, his daughter. But I mean, it's kind of forced, and at the end of the day, it still feels very much like the first movie was the one that really told the story. The rest of them are just like new villains to just fill it out to make money.
Yeah, all right, so I like the first two the best. I mean, I guess I gravitate towards the second one just because I enjoy how he played the Joker. But I really like the first two. The third one I don't care for as much, mainly because they took and they really took Batman out of the whole equation for a good portion of the movie and sent him off to the prison or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, he's not even a factor in the movie until he redeems himself, climbs out of the hole, and starts kicking ass again. So I mean, that's like taking any main character out of the movie for a good portion of it, and it's just not. I mean, I'm in these movies to watch Batman. You know, I'm not in this movie just to watch the villains, you know, ransack the whole city without any, you know, real resistance, you know.
I don't know. I thought, see, the other problem, there's so many problems with the last movie, and I think a lot of people just gave it a buy because it was the last one, and they just wanted to make sure they got a good kick at the can. But, like, okay, aside from the magical healing properties, I thought Wolverine was the guy that healed magically, but, you know, apparently Batman does too. But do you not find it weird? Like, the whole premise of Batman, the last one, where he starts, is that, you know, at the end of the second one, he kind of goes on the lam because he says, "Look, man, it's blame me, blame Batman, right?" So it keeps all the villains and the criminals in fear and check, right? Harvey Dent was the White Knight. Don't leave him be the hero, and Batman will be the guy that killed and basically make me the bad guy, right? And then it's like it's supposed that it's been like 6 to 10 years, right, between the second movie and the third movie, correct?
Yeah.
I don't know about you, man, but if I haven't been kicking ass and training for 6 to 10 years, look, man, I gain pounds when I admit that when I started teaching certain courses, I started gaining some weight, man. I'll tell you right now, there's no way that dude could just magically become Batman, kick ass, and like start taking on the biggest criminal masterminds, bigger than the Joker. Like, oh yeah, I'm just coming out of retirement and kicking ass, right? I think there's another kind of huge leap of faith there.
Yeah. So I'm not sure. So seeing as how Ricky's not here, let's talk about the music.
Oh, damn right. The third one had the least strong music, but I think I liked the whole chanting thing. I liked it was a good crowdsourcing motif where they kind of got all those people to chant and then they recorded and added it to the soundtrack. But the best soundtrack would have been probably the first one because that was Hans Zimmer and what's his name? The other guy that makes soundtracks.
Howard?
Or maybe Howard. I don't remember. But there's a couple. I don't know the names of the tracks because they're all weird like Latin tracks. But there's this track that I usually listen to when I'm trying to get a subway. It's Melosis. I think that's what it's called. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing it right, but it is a badass track. It makes me feel like I should be kicking ass and beating the damn.
James Newton Howard.
Yeah, James Howard. So there's that track. But the second one, it grew on me. Like when the second movie came out, before it came out, the soundtrack came out, and I just played that to death, right? It was really good because it had a lot of the motifs from the first one into it, and except that it tried to play a little bit too much on the heartstrings, and the themes were a little bit messed up. But the first soundtrack, man, it really got the score, and like it was like dum, 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 like that. The beat was just like constant, right? Yeah. So it was really good.
All right, so what I got from the music here is that the three soundtracks, especially the first two, kind of epitomizes why Hans Zimmer is kind of compared quite a bit to John Williams. Not that they necessarily do the same sounds; they don't. John Williams tends to go a lot more with horns and with brass instruments, whereas Hans Zimmer does more string instruments. But
bass
in terms of structure, I think that they're very similar, and they kind of bring out these specific soundtracks kind of show that because they both tend to repeat certain like, all right, so for example, in the first three Harry Potter soundtracks, John Williams uses Hedwig's theme, which is the main Harry Potter theme, over and over again, and that's what he does in almost all of his stuff. I mean, Jaws, even the minor movies that he's done, like Home Alone, you can see an overriding theme throughout the whole thing. And in this one here, and a lot of Hans Zimmer works, he does the same thing. He has an overriding theme throughout the whole thing. That's why it was so bad in Harry Potter when they changed to all British composers after the third movie, because they didn't do the same thing. They only used it was very disjointed because they only used the theme once or twice per movie, and it sounded really different. It was much more background music. It made it seem like the soundtrack didn't have it wasn't necessary for the film.
But I think that's the you're talking about the big difference. I think that this like, thank God Ricky's not here. No offense to Ricky, we can geek out on the music here. John Williams tends to associate and create themes for characters. So like, whether it's Jaws, the shark, the dum 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 dum, or like the Imperial March in Star Wars, there is clearly a connection. It's very Wagnerian or operatic, where each character or like scene has a specific theme. So when that character comes back, they play variations of it, right?
Phantom opera.
Yeah,
I know it's not the same thing, but it's the same thing. Yeah.
But whereas like the Zimmers and the Howard Shore, actually no, Howard Shore does a more of a John Williams thing, but you were talking about James Howard. Their score is more just ambient, but it's very like you actually get it's almost as if Michael Bay were writing music, right?
Oh God, explosions everywhere.
Yeah, but it's like the adrenaline and it's really good at getting you hyped up, and I got to give him credit for it. I mean, Zimmer does a really, really good job of it. I got to give him credit for just like they're really good balance to keep like the anxiety and the stress level. Like you kind of get a sense of like the fear, which was a big motif in the first Batman movie, to the kind of conflict that you get in the second movie. Like the whole issue in the second movie, at least to me, was like it was very apparent that the Joker realized that Batman's biggest weakness is that he won't kill, right? So the conflict by like pushing the boundaries, and then the conflict musically, you can hear it, and it's just all that stress buildup. And then in the third movie, though, it's not, as I said before, I don't think it's as successful. It has this whole theme of anarchy, which pervades the entire movie, and like even the music starts getting disjointed, dissonant, and it's not consistent. It's not, it very much screams of the mentality. So I agree, the composers did a good job, but the first one is the one that's really good at, again, maybe it's a story arc and it's more clear, the composition is crisper, the instrumentals are done better. I don't know, maybe that's just me, man.
I think that they on the third one they didn't put it in order. It seems to me like if you're just going through and listening to the soundtrack, it sounds like they like mixed the tracks up or something. It was, I don't know, for me it sounded like it was out of order. Whereas the first two, you could kind of tell it went from beginning to end. It was exactly like the movie. But they do that with a lot of soundtracks. They mix they did it with totally went blank. I mean, it's just the information went totally away. Anyways, all right. So, what would you give the? I mean, I don't know how you want to do the scores on this, Vince. I mean, per movie for the whole thing, whatever floats your boat.
I don't know. Like, I'd give the first movie probably a good solid 8.5. Second movie an 8, and the third movie probably a 7.
All right. Yeah. So, seeing as how you did all three, like I said, I enjoyed the first two. I didn't enjoy the third one that much. So out of 5, I would give the first one probably a 4.5. Mm-hmm. The second one probably a 4.5 as well. They're pretty even in my mind.
Okay.
Yeah. Liam Neeson is a god at acting because of his voice, So, like, when he's in a movie, even if the rest of the movie kind of is terrible. So he's in a movie called Unknown. Basically, it's an amnesia movie. It has Diane Kruger, Jessica Jones. I don't know. January Jones. That's it. Anyways, it's a terrible movie. I mean, it's atrocious. It's an amnesia movie. Basically, he's an assassin who loses his memory, so he thinks he's a good guy, but he ends up being the bad guy. And it's convoluted and it's bad, but because he's in it, I've watched it a couple times, and it's not. It's like the what's the ones where his daughter keeps getting kidnapped over and over again? Taken.
Taken. I was gonna say Broken. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. Like Taken 1, Taken 2, and Taken 3 is like his daughter just fucking doesn't learn her fucking lesson, and he's actually it's his wife in the second one, right? I don't know. I've only seen the first one. Anyways, because he's in those movies, it's good. He's just that kind of actor. So I'm not saying the first Batman movie was good because of that, but he adds he just adds a flair to the role that makes it very much more enjoyable than if somebody else had played that role. So 4.5 for the first and second one. I'd probably give the third one a 2.
Whoa.
Yeah, I just don't enjoy it that much. Him being taken away from the whole scene of action for a good portion of the movie really bothers me. And maybe it's just I don't know, it's just something that I get hung up on, and it's not really all that important. Just something in my brain that it bothers me. I mean, I understand. I mean, because all right, so I think that the reason why they did that is because they wanted to show Bane and Talia's they wanted to show their backstory, where they came from, the reason why they were doing what they were doing. That's the reason why they sent Bruce Wayne there, but it's still, I don't know, it just bothered me. I don't know. It probably bothered absolutely nobody else, but that's just me.
Well, I don't know. I'm not sure if I know you always accuse me of reading too much into these movies, but do you find that the last movie was very much driven by the political climate of like corporate America being corrupt and like the need for anarchy and the Occupy movements? Like I know that that was a big overt kind of connection. And then at the same time, when the second movie came out, it was clear that Joker represented anarchy. And again, there was that response where the greater world population were like, everything from the crap that was going down in Egypt to the kind of stuff that was going on about like, the Mid-East Rising, or sorry, whatever it was called again, right? Like just the Middle East awakening and all stuff, like Arab Spring stuff. I can kind of see some connections, but do you think that Nolan actively tries to fold in these themes? Because I think there are some clear-cut connections. Like, remember at the end of the second one where Batman has to, in order to save everybody, he has to go and break the rules of, privacy. Like, I don't know how he uses that technology, but it's like, I'm going to get everyone's sonar, apparently, on our phones.
And then you have Morgan Freeman, what's his name? Fox, right? You have him standing up for the the little guy and resigning or whatever.
But then the next movie, you're going to be back, man.
Yeah. It's like, come on, isn't Morgan Freeman going to die anytime soon? I mean, he's like 9,000 years old.
Well, the thing is, Michael Caine keeps on making more movies, and he's freaking old.
Yeah. All right. So let's so Morgan Freeman is 78.
Holy.
Yeah. And he. Oh, I mean, it's like Samuel Jackson. He's in his 70s.
Oh no, he's not 70s, is he?
Yeah. All right. So let's look at this. He is 67.
Oh yeah, jeez.
Close, very close. All right. So last one, Michael Caine, right?
Yeah, Michael Caine.
All right. So let's see. 82.
Holy crap!
He doesn't look 82, and he's in. Yeah, he's like he's the male version of Betty White.
Wait, is she 90 yet?
I think she's 90. Yeah, I don't. That's totally off.
She's sharp, man. She's sharp.
Yeah, she's 94.
What?
She's gonna be acting into her hundreds. I mean, come on. Remember, she was on that TV show Golden Girls. That's where she was starting. Like that was. I was
young Golden Girls.
Yeah, yeah. All the rest of them are dead.
Are they? Oh, jeez.
Yeah, all three of them, other than her.
Wow.
What's funny is I was like 5 when that show was up.
Oh, really? I remember watching that show when I was younger. Man.
Yeah. What's funny is it wasn't a very good show, but I mean everybody has remember. Anyways, all right. So let's move to the section. We got done with the movie. So, Vince, did you do anything fascinating this week?
No, my life sucks because I'm too busy doing with a whole bunch of other school stuff right now. The fun stuff. So no, I have no life.
No more Kidnapping Simulator this week?
No, but I'm telling you, The Witcher, I swear to God, guys, can someone just tell me what I'm not getting in The Witcher? Everyone made it out to be the big game of the year. I'm forcing myself to play it. I swear to God, I'm falling asleep playing it. Like, usually I'm in for these things for stories, and it's like, oh yeah, if you love stories and games, play this. If you love like open world things where you get to explore this quest, dude, I inevitably am saying yes to all these side quests, and I'm forgetting what the storyline is, and I'm not sure if I'm saying the right answers because I don't know. Like you have to have played the first 2 games or something to know the whole entire history of this entire world. Because I'm making bad decisions because I'm just going, yeah, let's do this, and it's like, oh, apparently I sided with the equivalent of the Nazis. So
that's a problem with a lot of open world games. Like Oblivion and Skyrim both had that problems for me because there's so many things you could do. You got distracted doing them and then forgot exactly where you were supposed to be going, which is okay. It was fun in its way. But if you go into those kind of things looking for a consistent linear storyline, I don't know. Open world's just a little bit harder to do that in than like Call of Duty or whatever, where in order to finish the game, it's from point to point to point to point, and you can't go any other direction because that's just not the way the game works,
Yeah, I don't know, man. I think it's not even just the story and the kind of laboriousness on that. I think, like I told you before, the controls. I really usually don't make a big deal of game controls. Like I know that some guys playing first-person shooters, it's like, no, man, the shoulder button should be doing this, or this button should be jump or whatever. In this game, I just think it's stupid that when you walk by like treasure chests, you have to confirm accepting every single thing. Like, at least in other games, you walk over some health, you pick it up, you pick up the health automatically, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the whole GoldenEye thing, because that was really where it got the whole thing. Remember GoldenEye in the 64, if you wanted to pick up ammo, you just walked over it.
Yeah. Well, it's like you walk to a treasure chest, you have to press a button to open it. First off, you have to look at it properly at the right angle, right? Or else the computer doesn't think that you're actually trying to go to the treasure chest. You click on it, and there's like 16 things in it, for example, or 5 things in it. You have to approve picking up every single item.
That makes it sound like it was built originally for a computer. Like the PC instead of
built far. What?
Well, yeah, because I mean, if you think about it, there might be like a key or something on a keyboard that would, make that easier. But because you're using a controller on a console, when they designed it, it was for a keyboard where you have a lot more options than you would on a controller.
I don't know. Man.
I'm not excusing it. I mean, all right, so. Getting back to our drinking game, if you've ever played Heavy Rain, the controls on that are absolutely atrocious. I mean, you gotta, press certain, it's all quick actions, and you gotta go through. You gotta go through and and hit certain buttons at certain times and in certain combinations, and if you don't do it, your character dies.
Yeah.
And if your character dies in that thing, because that is only a story-driven, plot. The whole story is different. That's why I like. Anyways,
how about you, man?
Get off my whole story, my Heavy Rain boner. So I'm still reading about William the Conqueror. I'm enjoying this book, but I won't talk about that. I watched. So have you? You're an architecture guy. I'm sure you've seen. God, what the hell? That's gonna bother me. I totally just. The guy with the history one with Peter Weller.
The history one.
Building an empire.
Yes.
But you've seen that, yeah. So I mean, I've watched it before, but I was, a guy at work and I were talking about how terrible the History Channel has become because they've diluted it with things that have nothing to do with history. Like Ice Road Truckers. What the hell does Ice Road Truckers have to do with history, right? And so we were just. What's interesting though is if you didn't know it. They moved all of their good history stuff that they used to play on the main History Channel to a different channel called H2. So if you're into the actual history stuff, it's on a different channel. So like ancient aliens was over there, modern marvels, the one that they used to do about I can't remember. It's the disasters one where they talk about what would happen like if a category 5 hurricane or whatever hit. Detroit or something. And then, but all the other ones like they did one recently about the biggest psychopath leaders in the world. Like they did one on Genghis Khan, the one Alexander the Great, which it's really very fascinating. So I went back through it this week and watched Building an Empire, or Engineering an Empire. That's it. Anyways. I just highly enjoy that series. I have all of them in my iTunes library. I really wish they would have made it more than just. I mean, obviously there was only up to a certain point to a number that they could do. So they only did 12 of them, I think. But they did 2 of them on Egypt, one not on Egypt, but 2 of them on Greece, the regular Greece one, and then they did one on Alexander the Great. The Egypt one is really good. I didn't enjoy the more modern ones where we're talking about. The Britain one wasn't as good as I thought it could be. But the other one's really good. I enjoyed the Egypt one, the Greece, the Aztec one was really fascinating. Even though I'm not.
I don't know. See, this sounds really terrible, but I really don't know my South American anytime there's Jeopardy, if it's like Aztecs or Mayans, or Incans or whatever, I always mix them up.
I'm not.
Does that make me sound racist?
No. You can't focus on everything, Vince. That's the one thing I learned in history is that there's a reason why once you get past the initial classes when you major in history, once you get past those, you choose a specialty, right? Right. So I chose medieval history and Cold War because you can choose 2 and sometimes 3. because I wanted to skip the whole American history, like in slavery and stuff. I didn't want to do anything like that. I mean, that sounds racist, but I'm just not interested in it. You can't focus on everything, and a lot of people don't want to because they're just not interested in it. It's not because they hate all South American people or I hate all black people. It's obviously not true. It's just that's not what I wanted to learn about. So, it's not racist. It's just I don't care about you people. All right. I'm so getting letters. I look forward to those. All right. Speaking of letters, if you want to send me a letter, you can do so. The email address, which is totally in a different spot now from where I actually put it. I don't. When I sorted that column, it just fucked everything up. The insert name here show at gmail.com. I gotta find something different because that's terrible.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think so.
There was nothing else available. Everything else was taken. Until I get our own domain, which is gonna be a couple months yet. It's gonna be something different. Anyways, if you want to follow us on Twitter, Vince is VWHUI, Ricky's Ricky_Williams1. I'm at MTWB, which I don't even see mine on there. Where the hell did that even go? I got deleted. Anyways, the podcast is at Untitled Podcast. You can like us on Facebook at facebook.com/The Untitled Show, and you can follow us on SoundCloud at soundcloud.com/the_Untitled Show. Way too many hyphens. But they put hyphens in there for some. Anyways, we are still not on iTunes, but we have been submitted. It should be in the next couple days, I think. I haven't got the email yet.
I don't know, man.
Like I have visual confirmation. I even took a screenshot of that fucker so that Ricky would believe me. Anyways, we will next week. We're talking about what are we?
Kid movies. Despicable Me. I think we're going to talk about just one, or we're going to talk about the two, the Minions and Despicable Me. I don't know.
I don't know. I've never seen any of these movies.
If you got kids, you'll watch them. Trust me.
Is this a Disney movie?
No, it's no, it's I want to say it's not Pixar. It's like
DreamWorks.
DreamWorks, I think. Yeah.
All right. Anyways, yeah, I've never seen it. I'll watch it. I don't care for kids movies. At least not any new kids movies. Like, I'll still every once in a while, like if it's on TV, I'll watch Aladdin or whatever because it's some of them are funny, or I'll watch like The Lion King or something, because it has Jeremy Irons just has an amazing voice and everybody, So, anyways, Despicable Me next week. We will see you next week on Wednesday.
All right, take care.